Either they love you, or they hate you, or they gon' judge you. It is what it is. It is what it is. It is what it is. It is what it is.
What up, world? It's Lingo Ink presenting to you all another great episode of Open Mindz. On this great episode, we have a beautiful soul here from, is it Portland? It's Portland, right?
Yeah.
Portland, Oregon. And she's a shamanic practitioner. Her company, you can check her out on Instagram, Aspiring Sunbeam LA. And she's a woman shaman that I met, and I was like, oh my goodness, I need to have your energy on my show. And she does great things. She even took away a block or two from me with the session with her. It was profound. I'm still trying to digest everything that happened to me. But everybody, I want you to welcome on Anna, the shamanic practitioner, to the show. Anna, welcome to the show. I want you to tell the people your journey into shamanism. Is the show is called The Shaman's Journey Within, and she basically had an experience that led her to this journey. So I'm gonna let you take the floor.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. So I first started having visions when I was 23, and prior to that, didn't really have too much that I would describe or relate to shamanism prior to that. But I just started getting into meditation, and kind of from there it evolved into me having visions, which led me down a journey of trying to figure out what was going on in my head and where I was going and what I needed to learn from all of this. And from there, it really evolved into my own practice and self-healing. And now I'm at the point where I'm able to work and help heal others as well.
That's such a beautiful story. So, before the age of 23, how was your upbringing? Were you religious, or like, how was that until that point?
No, not religious. It was fairly agnostic upbringing. My mom is Jewish, but more ethnically rather than out of practice. And my dad was Christian, but non-denominational. So, we went to church a handful of times growing up, and my mom taught us a little bit about Passover, and they both pretty much just told us we could believe whatever we wanted to believe. And as long as we weren't hurting anybody, that was okay. So I pretty much was like, well, I don't know what I believe for a very long time, up until I started having these experiences.
So you dabbled in both, and you basically, like, nothing's connecting here. So you're going on in your journey. And how did you come up on meditation?
I was having some anxiety at the time, and my mom is a hypnotherapist, so she would often, kind of read me through some scripts to help me, create a visualization for myself to, just calm down a little bit. And so I'd heard meditation was good for anxiety, and so I was looking into different types of it to try to see if anything was going to help with that on a more regular basis.
That's very interesting. Your mother, is it quantum hypnotherapy that deals with past life regressions? Is that what your mother does?
She can do that. Yeah, she's certified. She has her own business as well. So I remember she's done a few of those with me before when I was younger too, when she was getting that certification, and learning how to do it. But that is one of the things she does. Yes.
So it seems like you and your mother have these gifts. So the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree. Seems like you're tapping into your own powers too. You just had to find it. But has she done past life regression on you to find out?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
What did you find out of that? I'm just curious. I know we're going off topic.
She started, I think I was 18 or 19, the first time because that was when she was still in school learning how do hypnotherapy, so she'd have her scripts and she'd just say, "Okay, I'm going to practice on you." um, and yeah, it's a pretty trippy experience.
So what did you find out anything that led you to your journey from that time that made sense?
Well, what's interesting is I remember at the time, doing it with her a few different times. She had a few different ways of doing it, and I started doing it on my own when I felt like I was curious. Which for her, she had said, she wouldn't recommend doing. But I found that I yeah, I just found that I came by it. It wasn't the reason she does not encourage anybody to do that is because if you're in an emotionally unstable place, rather than healing or processing this past life experience, it can become, a new emotional pain for you now in this life. Um,
Yeah, is that
so
because like the past life is past life and we're only supposed to be worried about this life. But I know through certain blockages that people have in this life, they do past life regression to work out those kinks so they can further,
Yeah,
go along.
sometimes the things you carry from your past life are brought into this life as well, whether that's repeated patterns, old traumas. But that's usually why you have someone guiding you through it to understand it and help you finish processing it so that you can, move forward with understanding rather than continued pain. Um, so that's usually why, you have someone such as my mom there to help guide you through this. So, I was much younger and was just found found it fascinating and that I was able to navigate through it easily um, on my own, which is why I had done that. But that is something, in hindsight, that makes more sense as to how I was able to kind of shift into shamanism as well, just a few years later.
So do you feel like now have you analyzed and broken down that how you came to your journey versus how your mother came into hers as a hypnotherapist, and have you correlated the two together for yourself?
I haven't compared them side by side like that. She, the great thing about my mom, she is, I would consider her, psychic. Sometimes she does know when something bad is about to happen before it happens. And she can communicate with spirits. And for her, it took her a long time before she kind of accepted it as, a fact rather than trying to not see these things or not hear from these spirits because it didn't feel normal. I know it was something she went through for a long time before she started just accepting it and being more open about it. So after a certain point as a teenager, I remember she just mentioning, that my late grandfather, was around or, watching over us at certain points. And, at that age, I accepted that she believed that that was true, but I didn't necessarily know whether or not I agreed with it. I was still kind of open to the idea, but not convinced.
You were still a
Uh,
skeptic, basically.
yeah,
And
yeah,
I'm a skeptic myself, so that's why I love to learn, and I talk to, all different types of people, different backgrounds, and just try to get what's going on, because there's a lot going on in this vast universe, right? Slash
yeah.
multiverse. So
I
go ahead.
Yeah, I think honestly, having skepticism is a healthy thing to have. You should be open to new ideas and opportunities, like you just said, but still, you know, be aware of what makes sense and what doesn't.
Exactly. Intuitive. You have to go with that sacral chakra, and just
Hmm.
kind of go with it. So now, I don't know. I'm kind of seeing the correlation with mom and daughter here. But
Yeah.
how many years have you been a shaman now?
Um, I've been practicing for about 7 years now.
7 years.
Hmm.
So from what I've heard, right? I'm still learning that for, I guess, a seasoned shaman is 20 years or 30 years. But the thing is, I believe once the soul knows who they are and what they are, like you are that.
Hmm.
So you're a shaman. So you've been doing it for about 7, 8 years. So let's go back to that great awakening that kundalini up that spine sensation that you had. So you was 23 years old and now you're dabbling into meditation, and then you felt something, and then what happened from there?
Oh, I was scared.
You was really scared, huh? You was
Yeah,
a lot
yeah.
of things.
I was like, I am 23 years old, and people who develop schizophrenia usually do so in their early 20s.
Oh snap! So
And so
basically, people that are trying to find themselves and start dabbling in things start going schizophrenic.
I no, I didn't. It's not like I felt like I was suddenly launched into mental illness. I was just worried it was something that was setting in, or
Oh, especially when
so it
it's
wasn't.
something you don't know nothing of, you feel like you could go down that hole because you're like, what's going on right now? Am I losing it?
Yeah, and the
You're really
visions,
gaining it. Go ahead.
the, the visions I were having had, to me, religious elements to them, which is why I was concerned, because I knew that I wasn't a religious person, and I knew that, with mental illness, a lot of hallucinations can have those religious undertones. So I have studied psychology, so I was concerned, but was afraid to tell anyone for a while too. But I did my research, and once what I read something that better explained that the difference between the two, which really helped me kind of relax. Which is that with a mental illness, with hallucinations, it's not within your control. Whereas with my shamanism, if I'm getting messages or having visions, I can say now is not a good time, and it'll just stop. Or if I can decide I'll come back to this later, and it won't interfere with my regular life.
Because people do have the power to do anything, to turn stuff on and off in their reality. So once we get past that fear, that everything else is possible. And it's
Yeah, yeah. So for me, it was I've always considered myself a logical person, which is why I was trying to look at it very logically, and I knew nothing about shamanism at that time as well.
so
Um,
now you had this moment, and then you're like, hold on, am I losing it? What are people going to think about me? Who can I talk to about this? And so you did your homework, you did your research, and then what happened?
then I decided to kind of, I was at that point, I was trying to just learn more about, what I could do to understand it better. And there's really not a manual in any book. There's really not, a website that breaks it down for you, because a lot of it is information that should be taught in person and not, written down, because it's so individual with how you walk through it.
Mhm.
So, I was trying, it just took me a long time to piece everything together, because I hadn't met a shaman in person, actually, until I moved to LA. So, yeah, it was just for me a lot of slow research and practice for myself as well.
So how did you get into the practice? Like, what did you start doing to become a shaman?
I started journeying, which for me, physically, I just, lay down, and then I would allow my spirit to travel. And in the beginning, I was just kind of going wherever it took me, once I could kind of calm my conscious mind enough to allow me to go deeper and travel outside of my body.
So are
Um,
you talking about astral projection?
yeah, that's another word for it.
So you go out of your body, and how does it work? So say say you're with somebody, how would it work? How would you do your work? I'm not sure. I'm trying to learn. So
So, individually, I just need to basically I need to shut off my normal mind, within my physical body, where I'm worrying about everything in my day and the things I need to do. Get to the point where I can separate myself from all of that. And then once I do, if I have an intention of some information I'm trying to receive or advice I'm looking for from the spirit world, I can put that in out there, as my intention, and then usually I'm kind of taken to where I need to go to learn that, or to interact with the spirit who can help me.
So
Um,
so you like you have an intention, and do you like put out a call or something? Like what was about somebody's like, you know, something that has to deal with a family? Do you reach out to ancestors of theirs? Like how does this work? Like
yeah, sometimes, particularly if I'm giving an energy healing session and I know it's their intention is for, a deeper kind of healing, I'll ask for their own spirit guides to assist me in helping this person. Because usually, everyone has their own spirit guides. How loud they are and how many there are can vary. But usually they're there to help you, and so something that I might not see on the surface. So I might ask for their presence and assistance as well.
that's super dope. So I guess have you like been to like traditional like places with shamans like Peru or any of these other countries with them like old country? Because shamanism, I haven't heard of shamanism like shamans in the Western civilization as until recently. So I like to know if you dabbled or talked to other. You say you talked to a shaman in LA.
Hmm.
Um, so how did you figure out like you was a shaman or like how do you get credentials to be a shaman? I guess that's where I'm kind of on.
Yeah, you really don't get a certificate. There's no graduate. I mean, I think actually there is in North America, there is a school for shamanism that has been created, but
Wow.
it's in general, anywhere else in the world, there's not
I guess
a
you got to go in the
program. You
jungle
can,
and put in the work, right?
yeah, many shamans will have a teacher who will teach them, but there's never a moment when they say, "And now you are a shaman," and now you're
Right.
done. It's a life throughout your life as a shaman, you will learn more, and there's always more to understand. Whether I had spoken before I started my business, I had spoken to another shaman in LA about it, as well, because my concern was I was self taught and I was worried that I wasn't going to be offering enough,
Mm.
or as much as I should be offering to clients. And, through talking to this other shaman, basically his main advice to me was to speak to my spirit guides and to, trust, where I was supposed to be going. Because I did feel very strongly that I should be starting my business to help people. And I just had my own doubts of myself as to whether
And
I was
that's
qualified.
right. And we
But there doesn't,
all are qualified, you know?
yeah, there
So,
doesn't seem to be a specific. It's not like being a doctor where you have to go through a certain amount of school and get a certain amount of degrees to be allowed to do it. So it's a very different type of and way of helping
but
people.
there are different types of shamans. Which type of shaman are you?
Um, do you mean in the sense of
Like
like
there's
what
like
I
water shamans, there's like medicine shaman that gives the ayahuasca and the ibogu and stuff like that, and there's spiritual shamans. So I know there's different types of shamans. What would you say your shamanism? You probably
offer?
if you go to spirit guides, I would think you're a spiritual shaman.
I would say, based on the one options you listed, I would say I'm more of a spiritual shaman. I interact a lot, with the spirit world, and I help with other people's own spirits and energy to help heal their emotional wounds, as well as use the spirit world to offer guidance to people. So that's been my main focus at this point.
So when you talk to the shaman in LA, how long have they been a shaman for?
So his name was Shaman Redwood, and I think it's over 20 years. I don't remember his exact when he started, but I believe he said he was also self-taught, and had had his practice been going for a long time as well.
Basically led by spirit.
Yes.
That's beautiful. And then so he told you what it was, and you went in and talked to spirit guys, and they gave you.
Yeah,
And that's
after that,
building.
just to make extra sure, I really, yeah, journeyed and tried to get that confirmation, and
And
it
you
was
get the
coming from all around
confirmation
me.
within.
Yeah,
That's the
I
most
was,
beautiful part.
yeah, and I was getting it before that, but I was just, it's for me, my struggle always comes from bringing in more logic when I should be using intuition. This was
Mm,
one of those times that I'm like, wait, should I have credentials? Shouldn't I have spoken to more shamans before this? Shouldn't I have done this, and this before I start my own business? But intuitively, I was getting the yes the whole way through, that I should go for it.
definitely. We all should go within, and within the power that we have to do anything that we can do here. So now, when you got that confirmation, you're right. I'm like, all right, it's shaman time, baby. So once that happened, right? How did you formulate stuff? Did you slowly start getting a clientele? Did you work with friends and family? Like, how did
Yeah,
that work out for you to get to the level that you're on right now?
I started working with friends and family. Firstly, because we're in the middle of a pandemic, and I wanted to make sure I could do appointments virtually and still have them be just as effective as they would be in person. So I was calling up friends and family and asking if they'd let me do a session for them to test it out. So that was how it started, and I learned it was just as effective, thankfully. And from there, word of mouth through friends. I have a friend who's a huge supporter, and she recommends me to other people as well. So a lot of it's been word of mouth, and then through social media and connecting through other online platforms as well.
So what have your friends and family said with like the work that you've done for them?
My mom loves it, as you might imagine, with the work she's doing. We're doing very similar things, so she's fascinated by it. Um, I call in with her and my stepdad regularly to give them sessions. All of my friends have been really supportive. I was a little nervous about, I hadn't really, but prior to a year ago, hadn't talked that much about my shamanism to even my closest friends. So I started talking about it, and then started my business, and everyone was actually very supportive. So it's been a great experience so far.
So that fear or like nervousness, that did you feel like that was gonna come from like acceptance or like of what you're doing, like they wouldn't know what it was, and did you feel like they was gonna judge you?
Yeah, I think part of it is just, you know, it seems like such an unknown world for a lot of people, and wondering or being skeptical of whether I was being honest. I didn't want anyone to think I was being dishonest. And no one, the great thing is that, of course, they're my friends. They've known me for a while, and they know how I live my life. So none of them questioned that or questioned my authenticity with it. But that was what I had been worried about, because there's no way to necessarily prove that I'm right, in the way that, we normally do in our physical world with most things.
Right. So I could understand where you're coming from that, but I feel like now, 2020, 2021, you see a lot of Reiki healers. I mean, this
Mhm.
is like, the three waves of volunteers. We're here now. You have shamans and all these sound bowls, and I mean, we turning up out here. You know what I'm saying? And, um, it's like people are just really going spiritually, and everybody's trying to help each other out. It's such a beautiful time to be here. And were you surprised when they were accepting it? Did any of them actually know what you was talking about when you talk about shamans? Because shamans is like mostly like tribal, like Africa to like Central America, like type of, from what I know. shamanism
Yeah.
is.
So shamans can be found all over the world. There's, I've been looking into it, and there's traces of its roots, and even up in Scotland, and there's a lot of other countries beyond how we associate it culturally with it being primarily with indigenous tribal
And it probably
people.
could be just called
Um,
something else, but the practice itself could be in another language.
oh,
Could be,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, the word shaman was created by archaeologists. It's so the language used for it in a lot of cultures is going to vary, but the shaman has kind of been turned into just a universal term to explain a broad area of spiritual work.
It's almost like a new age teacher, a preacher type, but they do healing in a different type of way. Uh,
Yeah.
so, what are the services that you offer people in your business?
I offer intuitive guidance if
Into
there's yeah, so if there's a dilemma in your life that you're struggling to navigate, whether you need a solution or just not sure what actions you should be taking, that's something I can help you with by, channeling guidance of where you should be focusing and help you to gain clarity on the situation.
so
Something
these are
else
the
I do.
people that don't want to go inside themselves. Is that what you're telling me? Because intuitive is for their own intuition, but I guess there's still a lot of work to be done with society in general for people to go within to get the answers within themselves.
Yeah, some people don't know how to do that. Some people
Right.
don't realize that they are, some people might know what to do, but they want to hear it from someone else too. Sometimes
Confirmation.
you
Like,
need
yeah,
that,
oh yeah, I was thinking that. Thank you.
yeah,
Oh, okay.
uh, yeah, it's so sometimes it's that. Sometimes people are just they're so thrown off by the energy of the situation that it's hard for them to
And
focus.
situations in general.
Yeah, so sometimes when you have a lot going on, it feels frustrating to try to see the solution, and sometimes you just need someone else to help you. So that's really all that is all I'm doing. The intuitive guidance is coming from my own intuition and channeling with spirit guides as well. Um, but the other thing I do is energy healing sessions. So I can help remove trapped emotions or blocks in your energy that are preventing you from healing or progressing towards the goals you desire in your life.
So, is that something similar like Reiki healing, or they just kind of take blocks from each chakra?
So that is similar. The difference between the two with Reiki is they kind of use themselves to channel the universal energy into their client and just kind of let it go where the universe decides it needs to go. And what I'm doing is I am, basically manually doing it. So I am looking at your energy, seeing the blocks, and helping by speaking to your subconscious and your energy, helping to remove those blocks and, adjust your energy in the way that it needs.
And they can serve them. And what else do you do?
So I offer medium services as well. If you're trying to speak to, any spirits who may or loved ones who have passed, or if your home is haunted.
So,
um,
would you consider yourself a medium? Also, is that if you can,
yeah,
if you could talk to ancestors and all that, would you consider yourself a medium slash shaman? But I guess shamanism
it's
is more like the healing modalities of what you do, right?
so, a definition I use for a shaman is, to me, a shaman is someone who's considered to be a bridge between our physical and spiritual worlds.
Right.
And their access to the spiritual world can be used for knowledge as well as healing purposes. But,
Well,
if
I think
I'm
a medium is one like the same, but shamanism heals. The other one, the medium, kind of just tells you what the spirit world is doing. So it's kind of intertwined, right? Yeah.
yeah, for me, I think all shamans are mediums, but not all mediums are shamans.
Right. Got it. I know. But yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so it's just different language for, similar practices.
Right. And what else do you do? So you basically talk to ancestor. Is that so? Is that like a package or something? Like you do separately different things? Like how would it like if somebody came to you? I guess it just depends on you. Like, my mother died, or let me take that back because my mother did not die. I know her, right? Um, and um, like, or if I have something that I feel like is blocking me, um, you know, something like that, and you would be able to access and be like, okay, this is what you need. Like, how does it work? A
Um,
consultation.
it really depends on the needs of the person. Someone might have a loved one that passed a little while ago and they felt like they didn't get to communicate something to them. That's something I could help with. More of my interest is if someone just feels like they have spirits in their home and they don't know, either whether friendly or not friendly, they need to find a way to interact with them to make whether they need to leave their home or to make sure that they're in a peaceful environment.
Hold on.
Uh,
You said for them to leave their own home?
no spirits.
Oh, the spirits
Spirits
needs
are
because I
haunted.
was about to say like, there's only one name on this mortgage. Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
it can't be me.
exactly. People live in the home are the ones who should be staying there.
So you basically interact with them like, hey, what's going on? You need to go
Mhm.
light, or like, hey, what you doing here? Like, what's going on, buddy? Like something like that.
Yes. Yeah, some of them are just stuck. Kind of they don't really know how to move on or, move on to yeah, to fully move on, and others are just less friendly but also stuck in a different way. So, there's it kind of depends. Some of them, most of the time it's friendly. It can be loved ones who are just kind of popping in to look after you. And some of them just like to play pranks. So oftentimes it's as simple as that. But on occasion it can be, just spirits who are stuck and causing problems for the person living there.
So, do you have any interesting stories of spirits acting mischievous, or just giving people problems, or like a difficult tenant that didn't want to leave?
Yeah, I have a friend of mine. She also is able to interact with spirits. So she knew her home was haunted.
When he
And
got in there?
well, it came happened over a period of time. So it's her and her son and her mom live in their apartment, and you know, start out with some, just hearing noise in the kitchen in the middle of the night. And it happened like they'd have a family member visit, sleep on the couch, think someone was cooking in the kitchen, and then realize that like no one was there.
Hmm.
So like noises like that, where it was definitely, everyone was asleep in the home, things like that, where and it's not just her who was hearing things. So at that point, I hadn't opened my practice. I was just curious to see if I could interact with them as well. So I came over um, to see if we could clear them out. And as soon as her mom left
Training
with her
day. Training day. Go ahead. I want.
yeah, as soon as her mom left with her son, to let us kind of do our thing, both of us immediately felt sick. Like
Whoa.
we both felt queasy. My friend thought she was gonna pass out. The spirits knew that we both could feel that they were there and didn't want them there. So that was interesting because it happened like instantly, both of us, not feeling well. But for her, it was, I could see, yeah, there were two ghosts that were just not wanting to leave her space. One of them, was a young woman. Another was an older man, who my friend couldn't. At that point, I wasn't looking too deeply into their story,
Mm.
but my friend knew that there had been a young woman who had been shot across the street recently.
Oh
Or
wow.
and the old man she believed was their old neighbor who had died as well.
So it
Um,
seemed like there was a block party going on.
yeah, and this friend, she says, the ghosts tend to come to wherever she is, and she thinks it's just because she can talk to them, and so they are attracted to that.
Right, because
So
somebody can hear them, like, or see them, or interact telepathically or something, because they're like, "Hey, I'm here. Notice me."
yeah, yeah. Um, so that was a really interesting experience with that. That yeah, like I mentioned before, that was before I'd done it too many times, but that was more of a curiosity encounter that was interesting to me.
So you encountered them, so now you realize, okay, I can like see what's going on. So how did it come about for you to actually clear them out in your practice or in the next situation?
So actually in that one I did clear them out.
So how does that
I
process work? That you
I mean
telepathically like shoo, or like how does it work? I'm not sure.
yeah, I mean it's a conversation with them at first, asking, always I always ask nicely first. Yeah,
Respectfully.
yeah, that this is not your home anymore. I'm sorry, you need to leave. Can I help you? And some of them want my help, some of them do not. And if they don't want my help, then all I can do is force them out of the home.
So what is that like? What's like the eviction notice? Like how do you give that?
uh, you know, on a like fit it's all on a spiritual level. So I yeah, it's forceful on a spiritual level. Like physically I don't have to do too much. I'm usually smudging the environment to clear the energy.
Sage,
Um
okay.
yeah, but yeah, I just have to I basically create I let them know that they're no longer welcome there, and kind of um create a barrier for them to not be able to re-enter if
You,
that's the case.
I can help you out with that. You know what this the best way is to take the monthly bill. They'll come back. That's what I did. I was like, yo, sis, my man, I don't know who it is. Look, nothing no more. So you can add that to that's free. That's free right there. So basically, you interact with them, you get them out of there. So that's something that you do. You talk to people's ancestors and get them. Is there any like funny stories that like you've seen and or like I know because it's all HIPAA. We're not saying nobody's names here, right?
Mhm.
But is there anything like interesting that really caught you on in your work so far with anybody,
uh
like a situation? Like, is there like any funny
yeah,
stories that you can give us?
I have a friend who she let me give an energy session to her, and with our friendship it's always very light and fun. We could talk for hours and she always makes me laugh. But when she let me try her session, she took it seriously, and mentioned a few things that she wanted help removing blocks from. And as soon as I connected with her energy, though, I felt this I'm like this really a strong urge to laugh, and I was trying not to because I was trying to focus on connecting to her energy with her blocks, but it didn't matter what I did. I just it was so hard not to laugh, and then I realized
That was
it
your
was her
friend,
own.
right? You said that was your friend, right?
Yeah, and
I
she
can't.
was laying there
I
the way
can't
she should be.
imagine a regular customer you don't know, and then you just start laughing at them. They're like, "What's going on?
Oh,
What?"
I know. I was stifling it. I didn't want her to know I was laughing because she, like I said, she on the surface she was taking it seriously. But what I spoke to her afterwards though is that she uses humor as a kind of as a way to deflect people from seeing any of her problems. So automatically her subconscious was just like, you don't need to, don't look here.
Oh, so you was
uh,
laughing,
just,
and then you
and
went
then
there,
once,
and then you went and
yeah, once I
you
figured
opened
it
up
out,
some chapters real
yeah,
quick.
once I figured out, I was like, you need to stop. This isn't why we're here. I'm not, I only, anytime I do this energy work, it's always with whatever that person's energy or subconscious is comfortable with. Um, but I sometimes it still takes that a little bit of negotiating of like, look, you asked for my help, so I can only look at what you show me, and if you're gonna keep making me laugh, I can't get anything done.
So she was just like trying to block everything that you was trying to.
Yeah,
Hey, I'm trying to be here to help. So that
yeah,
so that basically chuckle. Is there a particular thing like a story with her like that was funny that you found out, or it was just really that she was trying to deflect you from going into files? I
it
guess.
was, yeah, I think it was just that deflection because the urge to laugh, it wasn't because it wasn't related to a story I was thinking of or like anything in particular. I just like felt like something was really funny and I couldn't stop laughing. Um,
So did did you end up laughing and she was like, "What's going on here?" Like
no, she didn't, she couldn't hear.
she
Like
was
I said,
on
I
you
was
was on mute, huh? You was
stifling.
on mute.
No, I was stifling it really well, and she had her eyes closed as well, so she wasn't looking at my face. She
Oh,
had
okay.
looked at
You
me,
was
she
like, yo,
definitely
shut
would have
your
seen
eyes. You was about to put a blindfold on her and just go.
it. Yeah, if she had her eyes open, she definitely would have known something was up.
Oh yeah. Would that have thrown it off if she seen you laughing? I get at least for a good 10, 15 minutes because you were like, yo, you caught me, but you would have to like calm it down, like, hey, I'm trying to get up in here, but I see what you're doing, and if it's just like her first time with spirituality, and she's gonna be like, how do you even know that to even be laughing, right?
Yeah.
Subconsciously,
Uh,
like she's doing something that if you could tap in, you can see that.
yeah, it would have taken me a few seconds to to get back into focus if yeah, otherwise. But no, I mean, I was able to complete the session. It just took a little bit to move past that part with the laughing.
Have you experienced any challenging types of situations, spirits that came upon you, and you was like, "Oh, okay, like y'all gonna make me work tonight"? Anything like that, including myself, involved with all of that you've done so far? Anything?
Yeah, well, like even more difficult than you
Thank good.
was,
I ain't the worst one, right? Good.
no, certainly not.
Sheesh. Shout out to my ancestors and my spirit guides. I love you all, like to the Most High and everybody. Well, go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, there was this woman I met who she we met just by chance and talking to her, she was super friendly, and then after I'd speak with her, I'd feel very tired. And after a few times of this, I realized, she had something. It wasn't her, she wasn't draining my energy by saying anything in particular, but she definitely had a dark spirit attached to her.
Wow.
And by the time I gave her a session, you know, I could see that this spirit was pulling her energy off by about 30 degrees, which was odd because normally our energy fits in line with the shape of our body. It's is upright the way our body is upright. But hers, it was like, her energy was kind of off kilter a bit, um, because the spirit was sitting on, like pulling her that in that direction. Um, but as soon, I was able to remove it. However, what I didn't pay attention to was where it went after it was removed. So it took me 2 days before I realized it had attached itself to me. Um,
What?
yeah.
So you got it off, and all of a sudden it climbed up on your back or something. You're like, all right, it's off of you. I don't see it, but it's on you.
Yeah. So I mean,
Whoa.
I thought I'd gotten rid of it properly, but I was paying more attention to, putting her energy back in alignment,
And it
than
said,
where
oh, new
spirit.
host, you.
Yeah.
So how did you acknowledge and how did you get it off of you?
Well, I started to feel like that day I felt fine, and then by the end of 2 days later, I was like, okay, something's off. I don't feel right, energetically, and it's not based on anything happening in my normal world. So I just kind of checked in with myself, and then I could feel it was there on my shoulder. So, I had to, basically I had to fight it to get it to leave.
What
And
was
I did.
that like?
Um, for me, a fight in a spiritual world isn't as scary as say a physical fight.
Oh, like a
And
steel cage match? I thought you all was in a steel cage match in the spiritual world.
I mean, for me, it's more matter of fact, because I'm not, when I'm in the spiritual world, I don't have my ego with me. I'm not doing anything
You're
for
not going
show.
off the
It's
top
just,
rope. You're not going off the top rope with it. Okay.
no, something's on my energy that shouldn't be. It knows it shouldn't be there. I've told it not to be there, which means I'm right and it's wrong, so it can go.
And
And so
that's the universal law. You got to go.
yeah, so in that fact, I felt justified in being able to fight this creature. And then once it was gone within, by the end of the night that day, I felt way better, totally normal again. So
Wow.
yeah,
So, so that was probably the worst one thus far, but everybody else is pretty good, right? Including myself.
yeah, it's not terribly common to have something that dark where like someone like me is going to be drained speaking to someone conversationally.
Because,
Um,
go ahead.
yeah, I mean it's that was, I would say, a more extraordinary circumstance than typical. Usually the problems we have in ourself is more, being out of alignment or disconnected with ourself, or having things from our past blocking us from progressing in the ways we want.
Mm. Because I believe, even somebody to want to go for help, like a shaman, they pretty much have themselves. But some people, I think, they might have maybe two or three attachments to themselves because you have to reach a certain level, you know what I mean, vibration and frequency to even want to get help from a shaman or a Reiki healer in the first place. That's what I'm assuming. Because I'm sure the spirits that are really draining people and just squishing them are, don't want to see a shaman because they love who they've hosted, and or Reiki healers or anything above. So that's just my take on that, right? Would you say? Like people that kind of
It's
raise
I
their vibration up because they don't have too much on them, but some are just like uh, just so hurt, traumatized that they have major blocks that they seek in anything, and they're like, well,
it can depend on the person, because I've found that while some people want help, they don't know where to get it unless it crosses their path. So while some people might not actively seek out a spiritual practitioner for help, if they suddenly meet one, I found that those people still jump at the chance to make an appointment with me, because suddenly there's someone right in front of them who can help them, and even if it's in an unexpected way. So a lot of people, everyone has their struggles, and I think some people simply, we're so used to trying to figure things out on our own that we forget that there are other people we can ask for help who are capable of helping us navigate things.
that's such a beautiful thing. Now, the most interesting thing for myself that I know about you is being a woman shaman. I know I don't even want to. I didn't want to get on this, but I really barely see a woman shaman. So I think it's really like a beautiful thing to hear your journey and to come and do this for women. Because now, women, if they want to meet a shaman, they have a woman here, and you have such a beautiful spirit and soul that, woman will feel comfortable with, so that's a choice, for women, even men too. Like, you know, I don't want men touching my no, but no, there's great men. There's great men, shaman. I'm just talking. But how do you feel about being a woman shaman? Like, how does that? How do you hold that? How do you feel that? Like, I'm a shaman, and I'm not trying to really put gender on it, but like there's really barely woman shaman, so it's like I kind of like have to go down that route, and I think it's a really dope thing.
It's funny because in my experience, I think I've interacted with more women shamans than men, but
Maybe then
I think
maybe I'm not meeting them because you're like
you
one of. I actually know two. I know two, so I can't whatever. But Yeah, go ahead. That's beautiful. That makes me feel even. The more healers and shamans out there, makes me feel good. Because I know that there's gonna be real work and not just words. A lot of words that man used to get people whatever, and people are going through it all types of energy deficiencies. There's a whole lot of things going on.
Yeah, I do think, if I remember correctly, I think I remember reading at one point that it is more, used to be more common for there to be men shamans than women. But, in my experience with the spiritual work in general, there's work with more feminine energy and masculine energy, and you end up working with both and creating a balance between the two.
Right.
Uh, so, and that goes for anybody, regardless of their gender. So it's all about, when you're, for people who are spiritual workers, it's all about what they're doing with the energy they're working with. So yeah, in my experience, my gender hasn't played a huge role in what I've been doing,
Oh,
but
I'm not. Yeah, it's not like it's just very few women. But I guess you're comfortable with it because you met majority, like you said, a majority of the shamans you met were women, and I think that's a beautiful thing. So you're part of the shaman, the woman shaman club, basically. You're one of the top ones. And I'm here to applaud y'all, and my hat goes off to all the ladies that are just going into their power, because women are the creators of this all here, and when that power shifted, this is the shit that we've been in ever since. But it's going back. It's going back to you, ladies, and I'm here for it. Divine feminine, divine masculine, all the above, and I love it. So, if people want to get in contact with you, you're from Portland, Oregon, but you're now in LA, correct?
yes.
So now I heard earlier that you are doing phone conversations and you're able to do this healing over the phone, because I know even Reiki healers have been doing it over the phone too. They can really send stuff. They can look at pictures and how does that work? Do you just listen to people's voices and catch the energy? And you
Yeah, I usually do a video call. I prefer to be able to match the face with the voice as well. So yeah, everything I've been just doing by video call right now just to keep everyone safe. But the distance isn't an issue. So, whether you're also in LA or in another state or country, I can still help.
That's dope. So is there like a website or something
I am
that
still
people?
working on building my website right now, actually.
All
But
right.
I am on Facebook and Instagram. Aspiring Sunbeam is the name of my practice.
At
Um,
Aspiring Sunbeam LA, you see it on the screen right now. Um, Check her out. Set up an appointment. She got you, ladies. If you feel comfortable, the shaman, a woman shaman. If you haven't found one, here she is, right here. She does tremendous work, and she'll take care of you. And what else? What else we got for the people?
if
You
you're
want
not on social media, I do have an email, which is aspiringsunbeamla@gmail.com.
BrianSunbeamLA@gmail.com. You heard it here. Um, in that case, we thank you so much for coming on the show. Um, I wish nothing but success to you and your spirit guides, and for helping everybody else here that that got attachments, that got tenants that don't want to leave their house. Remember, use that build method. That's, trust me, that one works. Um, and just nothing but greatness and to the light. I understand the polarity of and duality of the negative and positive here, and that's how we learn here. So we have to learn from both. But I'm so grateful and thankful to have you on the show. So please give her another round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. This This episode and this show is brought to you by Lingo Ink. Check out the latest casual attire, exclusive casual attire available for men, women, and children. We have the Zodiac lines out. The affirmation lines, I am, is out. Just a whole bunch of lines coming out. The Leos have been bothering me. Don't worry, it's coming out soon, Leos, after the Aquarius line. Right now, you see I have the no cap because there's no capping on here. Thank you again, Anna, for coming on the show. And stay tuned to another great episode of Open Mindz.
Thank you so much for having me.
Either they love you or they hate you, or they gon' judge you. It is what it is. 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 Being your own, living your truth. All these egos and pride got something to prove. I got my diva inside, cooped in a coop. Keep your feelings inside. I do what I do, I move how I move, choose what I choose. Third eye's active in motion, magnificent views. There's too many options, so much to choose. What is for me is just not what's for you. Vice versa, let it all go, most of it's not worth it. Just stay focused on your goals and life purpose. Be a student of this life and never stop learning. Never stop learning. Nah, there's some shit you just gotta accept. Your reality is created by the thoughts in your head. You.
Stay focused.
My mama told me stay focused.
My girl told me stay focused.
My girl told me stay focused.
My homie told me stay focused. Fuck what